Hey, it's Chuck.
The coaches that I played for, Luke Fickell, Jim Tressel, Steve Spagnuolo, the Chiefs, they were all great developers of men as well, and probably the three most impactful men in my life outside of my father. So the thought that I could hopefully be that to somebody else, I think is what gets me up every morning. You know, and I tell a lot of these recruits, like, yes, I want to be there with you in the green room when Goodell calls your name, right? Like, that's a lot of these kids want to get developed. But I also hope that these men call me when they decide to get engaged someday or get married and they're like, hey, coach, I want you there. Because that's the kind of relationship that I had with Luke Fickell. That's the kind of relationship I had with Spags, is that it was more than just ball. And so I think that's why I wake up and I attack it every day.
Let's get it.
And I don't think he's going to throw the ball as much as he thinks he's going to throw the ball now that Chip Kelly's on board. And I'm happy about that. More quarterback.
The truth is Ryan Day has made a change philosophically, but it's none of those.
You all know who wins. LSU is the drunkest fan base in the country.
To start, that means we've got.
And welcome in. Thank you so much for joining me here at Chuck on Bucks. Appreciate you guys as always here down in the basement of Booms, as we are now calling it.
Leading me through this process. And now I'm excited to announce that I'll be attending the Ohio State University. Yeah, baby!
Booms in the basement! Because the last time we convened, we brought our record up to 2-1, going live for commitments. And we got news that there will be another one next month, August the 17th. Mr. David Sanders will be announcing his college decision. And, of course, we will convene here and a little more news on David later. But the Buckeyes continue their dominance in the class of 2025. And we wait for the season to start to see if Ryan Day's Buckeyes on-field dominance can match what they're doing on the recruiting trail. We've been accused of becoming a fan base who's more obsessed with recruiting than actual on-field results. That is a pretty common refrain these days as we celebrate our recruiting wins, that's all we have to celebrate. And, a lot of people say Ohio State is the team who has done less with more than anybody else. And if all you count as an achievement is a national championship, fair enough. But I think there's a whole lot more that goes into a successful program than whether or not you are the one last team standing. And I'm a believer in what Ryan Day has going on. I'm a believer that this team's going to win the national championship. And I think that when they do, this organization is set up in a way that the sky is the absolute limit once they kick in the door. This program is set up so great when we talk about support from the administration, assistant coaches, support staff, fan support, financial support, everything you possibly need to be an absolute, a dynastic team, really. Like, it's all there. They just got to get it done. And the best part about it is the Bucks are no longer in danger of the best teams missing out on a chance to compete for the national championship because of one slip up in a season. We've seen so many of our teams that had a great shot at winning a national championship never get that shot because of one goofy night out in Iowa City. Right? We've seen it too many times. But what I do find interesting is the perception of Ohio State, the perception of the program from recruits and from their parents versus the general casual college football fan around the country. Quite a bit different. Those recruits and those parents consider Ohio State to be the elite of the elite. Clearly, the noise on the outside thinks that Ohio State is a joke. Can't win the big one. Again, the team that does less with more. And I don't know about you guys, but that kind of stuff, it grades on me. And part of this is because I spend way too much time in the social media world of college football. But I cannot wait. I just cannot wait to get some sweet redemption this season, and I know it's coming. National championships are hard, man. I don't think they only require you being a dominant team. I think they require a lot of luck. Scheduling luck. Michigan had a lot of that last year. Injury luck. And there's far more to judge in a program than whether or not they win a national championship. Consistently winning 11-plus games, that's absolutely dominant. And the foundation of that dominance is elite recruiting. We talked about the blue chip ratio maybe about a week and a half ago. A simple equation, the percentage of blue chips, 5 stars and 4 stars on your roster in your last 4 classes. Buckeyes at 90%, which is an all-time record, better than Georgia, better than Bama. But the class of 2025, the class we're going for the gold, the recruiting crown, which means absolutely nothing, but it would be nice to have to pat ourselves on the back after finishing second so many times. We've not won it. Matter of fact, no Big Ten team has ever won it outside of USC, if we're counting them as a Big Ten team.
By Ohio State, and it really looks like this thing's slipping away, and it's pointing directly to the NIL situation at USC. At some, I could look totally stupid, and I hope I am tomorrow. And Pijon signs on the dotted line.
But despite not winning that recruiting crown, Ohio State has clearly had a very successful recruiting run, referenced by that blue chip ratio. But this class, it's looking a whole lot like that absurd class of 2021. The class of 2021 had 14 top 100 players in the 247 composite. And when I'm talking recruiting rankings, that's what I go by exclusively, just to keep it consistent. Not because I think it's the best, though I do, but just to keep it consistent. I'm always talking about that. The class of 2025 has 11 top 100 players at the moment. And we're going to go through a little later on what some of our competitors have as far as top 100 commits, just to kind of put that in proper context. As far as the class of 2021, the ones going for the national championship this year, 7 of those 14 top 100 players remain on this team. In addition, Tyleik Williams, Denzel Burke, both paltry top 200 guys. And that group makes up the leadership group of this team. JT, Jack, Emeka, Donovan Jackson, Trey, Denzel. The leaders of this team, elite players who could have been in the NFL. They're not. They're back. But they've had disappointing Buckeye careers to date. I'm a huge fan of drama and storylines, and I think it's one of the reasons I've been so drawn to college football all my life. The story of this class of 2021 is set up to just have a miracle finish. The class that came in with all this hype, smashing records, 7 5-stars, having lost 3 times to Michigan, but also been a field goal away from a national championship, played with the best young quarterback in the world who might just, end up being the next great one in the NFL. Still yet to beat their rival, called soft, full of disappointments, personal disappointments, mostly based on expectations that others set for them. JT and Jack really stick out when we talk about that. Both very good players, longtime contributors. But because they were ranked number 4 and number 5 in the class instead of number 140 and 150, the expectation was they were going to be the Bozas or Chase Young. Many people view him as a disappointment. Same goes for Donovan Jackson, top 20 player, 5-star. And despite all these guys' future as NFL players, the only ones that went to the NFL out of this entire class were Mike Hall and Marvin Harrison Jr. Out of a class that's going to have, I think, 11 NFL players, Quinn Ewers, JT, Jack, Donovan, Emeka, Trey, Mike Hall, Jordan Hancock, Marvin Harrison Jr., Denzel, Tyleik. That's an 11 NFL player class. That's crazy. That class has not yet beat their rival. And all those dudes that are on the team this year turned down that money and they're back to win the national championship, to beat their rival. And they made that decision knowing that the odds aren't in their favor. I mean, let's be honest. If you are going to place a bet on who's going to win the national championship, Ohio State or the field, which is what they're betting on by making that decision to come back, the field is the better bet. Ohio State is not even the odds-on favorite. They're not even the top team. which is what bothers me when people say, Ryan Day has to win the national championship. Ohio State's not even the favorite to win. Now they're up there. They're number 2. I think they're the favorite still. But it's a heck of a gamble. These dudes rolled the dice on this one. And the storyline, as we get closer, as they get in the season and things get rolling, and if they can go out to Oregon in such a tough place to play, if they can just play close at that game, they don't even need to win that game. Play close in that game. Beat Blue at the end of the season and get that off their back. Get to the Big Ten championship game where they most likely match up with Oregon again. This time, I think they win regardless. You're not dealing with Autzen. And now you go into this new playoff structure. The hype and the storyline for this Ohio State team, after everything this class has been through, after everything that went on this offseason to assemble this team, Bill O'Brien coming and going, let's not forget that, getting Chip Kelly in after leaving UCLA as a head coach, all of that stuff comes back up as they enter the playoffs, making a run for this championship. It's going to be the biggest story. There's more. How about the quarterback from Kansas State that goes from potentially, his option was transfer, get benched, or go to the NFL. Like, he was probably getting benched. And he ends up quarterbacking the team that's going for the national championship, the Cadillac roster in the NFL or in college football. That's crazy. There's just so many bizarre storylines. And I'm just sitting here thinking, like, what is this going to be like when this playoff kicks off with this team? If they can capitalize, Ryan Day gets the monkey off his back. He finally kicks down the door. Oh, by the way, just signed the number 1 class in the country coming in. I'm telling you, this is set up to be something just dynastic. It really is. And it's unbelievable. And it's so exciting, man. I made a mistake. I made a mistake starting this show this past offseason, the offseason of the Season of Dreams. And of course, yes, a season like this has to have a name. It's the Season of Dreams. And everybody told me you made a really good move starting your show at that particular time. I disagree. I disagree because I've never been so engrossed in the news and talking about the Buckeyes as much as I have this particular offseason. And it's made it last so incredible. It's felt like 3 off seasons to me, but I know I've talked to a lot of you and you felt the same way. It's just been so long, and there's still, just under 60 days left, which is just ridiculous to me. But a lot of parallels between that class of 2021 and the class of 2025 that's being orchestrated right now by Ryan Day and crew. Buckeye Nation still on a massive high from the commitment of Riley Pijon. And these commitments are fun, man. They're really fun. The ones like Pijon in particular, where it's just felt like he wasn't really close to being an Ohio State lean until the very end. So many of them we kind of know in advance, But I went into this one thinking he was a Buckeye, but there was definitely a lot of doubt when he was announcing. And it was fun to do it live with you guys, man. Really fun. And again, that was the 3rd time. We're going to do it again. We're going to do it every time. It was an absolute blast. We were all in here having a good time. Set your alarm bell, guys. Subscribe and set your alarm bell. I'm really enjoying going live. For a while there, it was very, very scary for me, but I'm much more settled in now, and I'm going to do it more often. The thing is, this is not my job, and I am, I work, so I can't have a consistent schedule when I do it. But when I do it, I hope that you set your alarm bell so that you get notified and you can pop in, because I'm really enjoying it. And I think I'm going to do it quite a bit more. And I had a ton of fun, man. I had a ton of fun. So David Sanders sets his date, August 17th. And I heard a story today. Now, this could be total nonsense. This could be true. But so Clemson has been knocked off his list. Clemson, obviously the team, and we talked about it forever. He grew up rooting for. They were thought to, for a long time, be the team he was going to pick. And Clemson knocked off his Final Four list. And this is thought to be a Tennessee and Ohio State battle. Now, bear with me here. I heard that there is a potential that Nebraska is actually in this. And I scoffed at this at first. And then I got to thinking, Nebraska has money. They signed Dylan Raiola, which gives them a certain amount of legitimacy when it comes to big-time recruits. But Dylan Raiola has the family connection. His uncle's a coach there. His dad's a Hall of Famer from there. What they need to really legitimize that program, and they have everything. They have passion. They have money. They have the desire. They need to get themselves a big-time national recruit. Now, they rarely get one that's interested. But they were able to get Sanders on campus. Now they're in his top 4. How hard are they willing to go financially to try to win this recruitment? If I'm them, I'm willing to go as far as I can. I'm willing to give it all to win this recruitment. Because if you do, you now put yourself in position that other guys now look at you as a serious contender, a serious destination. And if you do win them, the way they are in Nebraska about their football team, I mean, they'll do whatever it takes to get more money to fund that NIL. Once they see that, the energy that will create around the program, with Matt Rule already having created so much energy, the new facilities they got, I got to tell you, I didn't think there was a chance in heck that Nebraska stood a chance here. But the more I thought about it today, it all lines up. It makes sense how this could possibly happen. Because he obviously is considering them, or he'd have dropped them off the list like he did Clemson, right? Now, why did he drop Clemson off the list? Well, Clemson doesn't pay. They don't pay good. We know that Tennessee and Ohio State are definitely going to be in for a serious check when it comes to David Sanders. There's no secret about that. We know that Nebraska is going to bring it as well. Georgia, definitely. Ohio State and Georgia, not known to. Ohio State and Georgia have this, I don't want to call it arrogance about them. It's, they're the top dog when it comes to recruiting, success, NFL players, and they don't feel they need to always have the biggest offer. And they're right. It's fiscally responsible. They don't go throwing around huge offers to just everybody. And I like it. I like the flex. But in this particular instance, how hard are the Buckeyes going to go? I think we all believe that they're going to go. They're going to match whatever they have to. If Sanders says, look, I'm going to Tennessee unless you match this offer, if they can afford it, I think they're going to match it. Is Georgia? Not so sure. Not so sure, but their offensive line class doesn't look great right now. Alabama's does. Georgia's does not. But Nebraska. How hard will Nebraska go? Now, I know you're laughing at me. I know you are. But I'm telling you, man, there's something about him leaving Nebraska in that 4, but taking Clemson out that's got me thinking maybe we've totally overlooked this. Maybe this is just the kid with the right personality to pull something like that you would never think he would. But they're too far, aren't they? Never mind. I just thought about it. They're too far. They're way too far. This guy didn't want to come to Ohio from the distance. He's not going out to Nebraska. How far is that? Now, here, this has ruined my whole theory. I thought I had a good one cooking here. You guys know I love the story. This was going to be a crazy one. Let's see. Charlotte to Nebraska. See, now, if we were doing a live show, you guys could have told me right off the rip the distance, and I wouldn't have gone down this road so far. Thought I had it all pegged. Nebraska flight time. All right, so with Riley Pettijohn's commitment, he confirms to us what I think most of us thought all along, and that is James Laurinaitis is absolutely going to be another version of Brian Hartline and Tim Walton, landing his two top targets in the class in TJ Alford and Riley Pettijon, after, of course, landing Eli Lee. And I'm a big fan of linebackers, love the position. I kind of miss when they were a little pudgier, but, they're athletes now. I get it. There's a reason that I had TJ Alford and Eli Lee on the show. I just love linebackers. Obviously, we all love James Laurinaitis. And I wonder if we could figure out how to duplicate a recruiter like Brian Hartline and Tim Walton and James Laurinaitis. If we could just find something that they all share in common that maybe we could use as we move forward when we hire people in the future. If we could figure that out, guys, if we could pass that along to Ryan Day, if we can find anything that we can draw as a parallel between all those guys, we'd never miss. But Jamesy nailed it, man. The number 4 and number 5 linebackers in this class, which are actually the number 3 and number 4 ranked linebackers in this class, because the number 1 guy is really going to be a safety in college. So we're really talking 2 of the top 4. That's Jonah Williams. He's the number 1 linebacker, but he's not going to be a linebacker. Now, I didn't think James would be able to pull this off in this abbreviated cycle. I definitely thought that he would be able to pick his guys in the future. Obviously, it's just common sense. It's James Laurinaitis, man. Before he got the job, when we were kind of kicking around, is he going to get the job? Does he want to stay with his kids? He doesn't want this job. There was a whole lot of rumors leaked. And there was a picture when he was visiting Vero Beach High School to visit TJ Alford, when he was allowed to travel in a temporary capacity, when Parker Fleming had just been let go. And I brought this picture up several times when I was saying James needs to be the guy for this spot, that you could just see all over TJ Alford's face how impressed he was by James Laurinaitis. Just because he's James Laurinaitis, man. Just who he is as a football player. And then once you get to know him, we can even see this in listening to him talk in his press conferences. He's genuine and sincere and passionate, and he loves Ohio State. The guy's just perfect, man. Also, the baddest dude in every room he's in, and that matters to young alpha males, man. It just does. It's the truth. I mean, this guy's going to take his pick, whoever he wants. And boy, do I want Tyler Atkinson next year. Ooh, buddy. But who doesn't want to be around James Laurinaitis? Clearly, TJ Alford did, and clearly Riley Pettijon did. And that speaks fantastic for our future here. When it comes to the linebacker room, which, there's been some rumblings that a lot of people would like to see some upgrades athletically in the linebacker room. This class certainly does it. We all talk about CJ, what a fantastic athlete CJ Hicks is. I think his 100-meter time was like 11.6. Riley's is 10.77. So we're talking about a freaky athlete. CJ obviously a little bigger, a little thicker. But Riley Pettijon's next level, man. Next level. And the last time we had such a fantastic linebacker class, I'm going to get a little technical on you here, but you had CJ Hicks and Sonny Styles, obviously, in that class with Gabe Powers, but Sonny was a safety. So CJ Hicks, 5-star, number 1 linebacker in the class. Sonny was the number 1 safety in the class. Gabe Powers was the number 10 linebacker in the class. And now they're all linebackers. So a great class. But I'm going to get technical here just because I want to shout out my dude. So technically, and we've had some really good linebacker classes, but the best one we've had, we got to go back to 2014. 2014 was Raekwon McMillan who I believe was the number 2 inside linebacker, and Dante Booker Jr., who was the number 2 outside linebacker, with Kyle Berger out of St. Ignatius, who was the number 10 inside linebacker. So, Raekwon out of Georgia, Dante Booker Jr. out of Akron St. Vincent St. Mary, my school. Dante Booker Jr. was just so ridiculous in high school, man. I've seen a lot of Ohio high school football. Dante Booker Jr. was the truth, and I expected him to absolutely be a superstar at Ohio State. He was so long, so athletic, just the perfect linebacker. And man, him and Raekwon coming in together, that was something. 2 5-star absolute studs. Dante Booker Jr. on offense, on defense, Paris Campbell on offense on that St. V team, 2 state championships right before Hoban won their first and then has won a billion since. That was depressing, really depressing. But let's run through this. This 2014 class was insane, guys. So Dante Booker Jr., Raekwon McMillan, Damon Webb, Marshawn Lattimore, Curtis Samuel, Jalen Holmes, Johnny Dixon, Jamarco Jones, Sam Hubbard, Paris Campbell, Terry McLaurin, Noah Brown, Malik Hooker. That's crazy. What a class, man. And that class finished number 2 in the country. Whole lot of money made in the NFL out of that class. But so we beat Texas for Riley Pettijohn, and boy, are they panicking, man. Texas having a rough time, guys. Listen, they just made it to the playoffs. You would think things are cooking. Like they're back, right? Texas is actually back on a national scale. They're relative again. People are talking about Texas nonstop. They got Arch Manning. Everything seems to be fantastic. Robust NIL program. They've got Lamborghinis. They're getting totally spurned by the in-staters. You've got to take a look at this. All right, so Texas has 25 top 150 kids. 25. The state of Texas has 25 top 150 kids in the state. And as we pull it up, just take a look all the way to the right. Obviously, we know they lost to Corian Moore, the number 1 wide receiver in the country, and they lost Devin Sanchez, the number 1 corner in the country, and are about to lose Jonah Williams, the number 1 linebacker in the country. So going to lose all those dudes. Number 4, he's out of here. Number 5, they're going to sign Fasusi. So that's 1. They're probably going to sign Lockett. That's 2. Michael Terry, I think, is going to Oregon. So that's 2 out of the first 8. Obviously, they miss Riley, another 5-star. There's 3. And DJ Sanders at the bottom. That's 4. And then 5, 6, 7. They're going to sign 7 guys out of the top 25 guys in Texas. And they're all 150 ranked players. That's crazy. That is horrific. And while we're pulling this up here, I wanted to go through. So we talked about the Buckeyes have 11 top 100 players. Let's go through some of the competition. Alabama, 7 top 100 players, which is a whole lot. Georgia has 5. So the Buckeyes have double Georgia. Oregon has 5. The Buckeyes are more than double Oregon, who's absolutely smashing it. Notre Dame has 3. LSU has 4. So just for a little context there, Bucks absolutely killing it, man. Absolutely killing it. And Texas is panicking. They are panicking. Where is their class? How many, did I even pull up their class? Hang on, let me get their class. We got to take a look at that class. Context. The Buckeyes have 11 top 100 guys in the class. If you take it down to 150, they have 13 top 150 guys in the class. Let's look at our rival. They have 2 top 150 guys in the class. Buckeyes have 13. And if we go down to Texas, the school that has 25 top 150 guys in their state, they have 3. They have 3 top 150 players, and the state has 25 of them. Listen, as upsetting as it is to lose a couple of Ohio guys here and there, this kind of puts it all into a real nice perspective, doesn't it? Like, things could certainly be worse. My word, that is just horrific. And speaking of Texans, our dude, Devin Sanchez, working out with our dude, Jeff Okudah. And let me make sure I get this right. All right, so check these two studs out. We got Devin Sanchez, Jeff Okudah. They met at the spring game. They've kept in touch since. Now they're in Houston. Well, actually, I'm sorry. This is in Frisco, Texas, near Dallas. And that is this past weekend for the 2nd annual NFL DB workout. Devin was one of the only high school players invited there, plus a few college kids. But Okudah is mentoring Devin, and that is pretty doggone cool. And we know that Texas lost out on DeCorian Moore to Oregon. There was a thought that was Oregon tossing a big bag and winning that recruitment. The Texas insiders are saying that Texas actually had the biggest offer on the table. Similar offers, but the biggest offer. And again, the Lamborghini approach isn't working. And I've got to say, pretty proud of these young dudes that it's not, because that is kind of playing to the lowest common denominator. So I kind of like it. Change your approach, man. That's horrible. All right, this is from On3, and we got a piece of good news and a piece of not so good news about the offensive line. We'll start with the not so good news. Oregon is on fire in the 2025 class, recently moving up to the top 5 of the On3 industry rankings. The Ducks are in strong position with several blue chippers early in the 2026 cycle as well. One of those is highly recruited prospect from Cleveland, Ohio, St. Ignatius, On3 industry 4-star Will Conroy. After talking to a source with knowledge of the recruitment, I've logged an On3 RPM in favor of Oregon. Quote, from the top to the bottom, the leadership is elite, Conroy said, after returning to Eugene in the spring. That's Will's 2nd time out there. He was out there for a game, absolutely loved it. Will Conroy is one of the Ohio 4, one of the guys that we're counting on in the class of 2026. Will was offered by the Buckeyes back in January. The Ducks had offered him in September of 2023. And the Ducks are making a big push to get a footprint in the Midwest. And obviously a footprint in the Midwest starts in Ohio right here. They pushed hard for Justin Hill. It didn't get him. Obviously they got Trey McNutt. And now they're going to go after these linemen here. So the Ohio 4 next year, we got Will Conroy. We got Max Riley, 5-star. 4-star Sam Greer, 4-star Adam Guthrie. Riley and Will Conroy are the interior guys. Sam Greer and Adam Guthrie are the tackles. And they're all legit. Guthrie not been offered yet, but has a ton of huge offers, and he will be offered. I do believe that. But that's the class of 2026 is a reason that nobody was all too concerned with the numbers in the class of 2025 on the offensive line. In addition to the Ohio 4, you've got 4-star Champ Smith that the Bucks are in on. He is TJ Alford's teammate down in Vero Beach. Very interested in Ohio State. Also 4-star Darius Gray from Maryland came up and camped. He's a 4-star. Really liked Ohio State. Buckeyes loved him. He showed out at camp, beat Jakeem Stewart in maybe, 5 out of 7 reps. Looked really good. Not the biggest dude, but a dog. Absolutely gets down. I loved him. Also in on 3-star Duron Parks out of, I believe it's pronounced Hurricane, West Virginia. We'll have to ask Ray about that. One of our regular listeners, Ray. Is that how you pronounce it? Hurricane. And we're talking bunch of good linemen that the Bucks are in on, but that kid's from St. Ignatius, man. You can't lose him. By the way, that was Steve Wiltfong with that RPM. And he said that he did it after talking to someone close to the recruitment. So, there's some data there. You cannot lose. You can't lose these guys in this class of 2026. We're banking on that. We've been banking on that. Those should be considered not layups, but you got to win those, particularly out of St. Ignatius. Now, we're not talking about Carter Lowe in Cleveland, Carter Lowe in Toledo. We're talking about St. Ignatius in Cleveland. And Cleveland and Akron, the most loyal Ohio State area in the state, we don't lose guys in Cleveland and Akron up north or anywhere else. So absolutely not fantastic news with Will Conroy. Some better news. Now, we talked a lot about the strategy, the small net strategy. The whole reason I went down that rabbit hole that took me to that small net strategy with the offensive line is I had just been looking through offensive line offers. I looked at the top 10 linemen in the class of 26. And of the top 10 linemen, Alabama and Georgia had offered 8 of them apiece. Ohio State had offered 2. And that's when I just kind of went down that rabbit hole that shortly after that small net strategy thing came out, that was intentional. Ohio State is offering fewer people on the offensive line. So I wanted to do a double check and see where we're at now after the small net strategy in 25 was an admitted failure. And it was admitted to be a failure when the second barrage of offers went out. So in the class of 2026, I went down to the top 20 linemen this time. Alabama and Georgia had offered 15. Ohio State now has 8. 8 offers out to those top 20. So if we're talking comparatively, the percentage, it went up. So it looks like we're picking up on the offers and going to try to stay out of the jam that we got into towards the end of this. Obviously, we don't know how this is going to end up, but if you end up with David Sanders and Carter Lowe and Jake Cook, if that's all it is, it's a huge win. If you get David Sanders and you get Carter Lowe with any other combination of anybody else, it's a huge win. So however you got there at that point, whatever, Buckeyes win. And that's all we care about, right? But you would like to see the people making the decisions on how they're going to move forward, learn from mistakes. And it looks like, we've learned a little bit here. We're getting some more offers out. I like that. And, bad news about Conroy, good news about the offers. We'll keep up on it as always. But August 17th, we got the Sanders decision. And, man, buddy, let me tell you, get him or don't get him, this class is still going to be excellent. But I got a feeling you don't get him, and it's going to hit the fan with a lot of Buckeye fans. Absolutely going to hit the fan. Particularly now that you're looking at potentially losing Will Conroy in next year's class. Anyway, that's it for that. By the way, Alabama's offensive line class looks fantastic. They beat the Buckeyes for Jackson Lloyd out of California. They got another excellent looking lineman out of Pennsylvania, and then they got the 2 Bama kids. So, it's not like there were just a bunch of Southern kids that stayed down south. They got a kid from Pennsylvania and a kid from California out of the 4. So we got to do better. We definitely got to do better. Everybody knows that, and we will see. We will definitely see. Definitely not positive news about Aaron Nolan. Now, once again, Aaron Nolan has been spotted in Georgia, and rumors are flying that he's never coming back to Ohio. And I got to show you the pictures about Aaron Nolan. Aaron Nolan in Georgia, never coming home. Of course, I'm kidding. Aaron Nolan is down there on break, and he's definitely coming home. But Aaron Nolan, who entered Ohio State at 6'2", 193 pounds in the spring, is now 6'3", 215. And I got to tell you, guys, I can't help but root for this dude. Look at him, dude. He's a unit. Aaron's a unit now. This dude was skinny. We're talking about a guy who came in and essentially what we would call in recruiting was recruited over, right? And I believe most people in that situation would have left. Never would have entered school, would have left, gone somewhere else, ton of opportunities as soon as Julian Sain signed in that class. But he didn't. Absolutely did not. Then rumors come out that he's going to transfer. His dad goes on an Ohio State football show immediately, denies it. Not going to plug that show because the host is a dork. But the dad goes on the show and basically says, Air's never run away from a challenge in his life. Next update we get, the dude's put on 23 pounds. Oh, and by the way, grown an inch. Are you kidding me? I love this attitude, man. I just absolutely love it. And you cannot help but root for Air Noland. Julian Sain, many have penciled in as the starter next year. An extremely talented dude. Also been a quarterback with a quarterback coach since he was a young kid. Drawn on and plays on a board. Fair to say he's had a leg up on a lot of guys his age. That's not to say somebody else might not catch up with him, or the skills that somebody else might possess might be ones that Julian doesn't have. You know, the knock on Julian is his size. Who knows? Maybe he gets injured. I sure hope that we get to see this out with both of these quarterbacks on our roster. Because, you know, I'm telling you, man, this is exciting. Our quarterback room is in such good hands moving forward. When you look at Air and you look at Julian and you look at Tavian coming in, and some people are concerned for some reason about having no quarterback in the class of 2026. That's the cost of doing so good in quarterback recruiting. Like, that's just the cost. I say take an Ohio kid that wants to be a Buckeye and let him learn. The odds are he's probably never going to play, and you're looking at the kid from 27 is going to play. So highly doubtful that you're going to end up with a stud in 26, and it doesn't matter at all. But props to Air Noland, man. Absolutely cool. Love seeing guys fight. Also, Devin Brown out fighting, working hard with the Palmer brothers. Got his Buckeye gear on. Looking, Dev looks, he's certainly got the dad bod about him, doesn't he? I like it. He owns it. He owns it. So we talked about the Michigan recruiting class, and Michigan is clowning Ohio State and laughing at us for having lost the Dorian Brew recruitment to Oregon. I think they included Jordan Davison in there, which everybody knows that, you know, we backed off of that. But the team that has top 150 players is clowning the team in recruiting that has double the team that's on top there punching. So I don't know. I found that to be a little ironic. And of course, Will Howard, this is at the Manning Passing Academy. A lot of people were saying that there were no pictures that existed of him throwing out there. And we did happen to stumble across one of Will throwing out there. Also ran across this old picture, just bebopping around the other day, when the shoe was actually the shoe. And man, is that cool. Part of me wishes it was still like that today. It's just neat to look at. I love that stadium so much, man. And I ran across this freshman pick of James Laurinaitis to show you. I absolutely love it. It is Monday. On Wednesday, your boy is going to talk to James Laurinaitis. How do you like them apples? That's right. I'm going to talk to James. My first time meeting James. I can't wait. If you have any questions you think I should ask him, put them in the comments. I don't know how long I'm going to get him for, and I don't know if he'll let me record some. I hope so. I'll certainly ask. But I'm going to meet James, and I can't wait. I'll certainly give him a pat on the back from the Juck on Bucks crew for the fantastic class. And that'll do me for today, guys. Please subscribe to the show if you haven't yet. Also, turn that alarm bell on. I'm going to go live. I promise you I'm going to do it, but I'm not going to tell you when. Just testing you to see if you subscribe and turn on the alarm bell. Please like the video. And also, I don't know if none of you guys listen to podcasts, but if you do, so here's the deal. the show does fantastic. Like, beyond my wildest dreams, how many people watch this show. The podcast, not so much. I don't get it. I really don't get it. So if any of you guys could, if you're on your podcast app, maybe just subscribe for me or something. I don't know. It's giving me a complex. Anyway, I appreciate you guys so much. I will talk to you soon. Chuck on Bucks out.